an interesting ride out here. I came out here when I got the call from Nina to come to Santa Fe. I had been out of the military for about 6 months or so, and you know, the long hair, the whole hippie scene, drugs and more drugs. But I left Houston, and this was somewhat of a bold move, I think, and I don't know if I would be able to do it again, but at that moment I felt, you know, invincible, you know, coming out of the Army, Special Forces, Green Beret, paratrooper. I felt, you know, very invincible, just really not afraid of anything. But I remember one of the first rides that my brother took me out and dropped me off on Interstate 10, and the first ride that I picked up that picked me up was it was my first encounter with a gay man, and he started hitting on me a little bit, trying to get me to come to his place, spend the night, and I just, you know, had absolutely no desire to do that. I said, look, I'm in love. I've got a girl that I've got to get to Santa Fe to see, and then the next ride that I got was a hippie couple driving a little Volkswagen Beetle, and they picked me up, and they gave me probably out of my, you know, 850-mile ride, they gave me about probably about 500 miles of that ride. And you know, we're, you know, getting high together, and of course about 2 o'clock in the morning there was the fork in the road. They had to go left and I had to go straight, but it was in one of those Texas torrential downpours, and I mean, I got out of that car in 30 seconds. I was drenched. And it was black as night, and no moon, no stars. I had no clue where I was, and so I did have one of these little Sears like overnight living room sleeping bags, and I just crawled into that thing and zipped the zipper up over my head, and boy, it just took the pounding of the rain for the next few hours. I woke up the next morning, there was cows standing all around me, and that sleeping bag must have weighed 50 pounds from the weight. And I got my next ride, I got out on, I'd gone beyond, I was supposed to get off in Pecos, Texas, and I'd gone about 15 miles beyond that. A guy from the working in an oil field picked me up and got me back to I-10. This was the time in the 70s when the Watts riots were happening. There was a lot of racial tension in America during that time. And I stick my thumb out, and the first car that comes by stops. And I'm not kidding you. These guys, there were 3 black men in the front seat and 3 black men in the back seat, and every one of them could have been a linebacker for an NFL team. And they're like, come on, dude, get in. And I'm like, seriously? Where? And so I just thought, you know, like I said, I just unafraid, and, you know, they were kind to me and, you know, loving on me and trying to help me. And I, you know, just without fear jumped in the car, and they drove me down to my destination, and, you know, which was about 10 miles away to Pecos, Texas, and dropped me off, and we said our goodbyes. And, you know, I think about, you know, guys like that, you know, you wonder, you know, where people are like that today. You know, they will never know the impact that they had on my life by blessing me and giving me a ride. And then I'm walking. I think I mentioned earlier that what I had in my pocket when I left Houston was I had a $5 bill and 2 $1 bills. I had $7 to my name, and I had 100 hits of acid in my backpack. And, you know, I had this encounter with Jesus, but I was not fully saved. You know, I was on my way, but I was not fully saved. And the next car that pulls up beside me is a Texas State Police highway patrolman, and I'm on the right side of the road, and he's driving parallel with me, and he pushes the automatic window on the passenger side and kind of drops his glasses over the top of his nose and he says, "Son, just keep walking." And I just said, "Absolutely, yes, sir. I'm going to Santa Fe." And then I walked. It took me probably another 2 hours. I think I walked for about 2 hours out of Pecos. I could not get a ride, but when I got a ride, the ride that I got out of Pecos was a guy and his wife, and I do believe, just from their actions and their kindness to me, that they were believers. I believe that God had them pick me up, and they dropped me off. They dropped me off about 1 block from where Nina lived, and I'm calling her on the telephone saying, "Come pick me up." And she says, "Well, if you look just down the street, you can see the house." And sure enough, she came to pick me up and got to meet her family. And it was just the beginning. I actually thought I was coming out just for a visit, just to visit Santa Fe, and we ended up getting married several months later. And and I got to just tell you that, God has been so good to me. My life here in Santa Fe has blessed me so, not just with material things, but just the spiritual blessings that I have. And I wake up on a daily basis thinking, God, I am the most blessed man on the face of the earth. That there's not, I honestly, and I say this without reservation, there's not one person on the face of this earth that I would trade places with. I've lived the greatest life. I've got the greatest wife. I've got the greatest children. I've had the greatest career and job, both in the secular world, in my real estate business, and being the pastor of the church. I pastor a church that I love dearly and deeply, and people love me. And honestly, I could not think of one thing that I would add to my life to make it any better. I have peace with God, and I have peace with man, and I just feel like I'm the most blessed man on the face of the earth.
Give us your comments. We want to know what you think. So drop one in the comment section below. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe. And until next time, God bless.